It's Krista here with you again today. And today I want to give a video. I know it's been about a couple weeks since I put a video out. Going through yet again another tooth infection, so bear with me here. Um, as I continue to do research on addiction plus codependency plus which includes a lot of information on narcissistic domestic abuse and some of the things that I've read and have been listening to and conquering myself. I don't even know where to begin. I'm a little foggy. So, I guess this is take one. And if you can all bear with me, like I said, I am going through another tooth infection. I've got 8 more teeth left down here, and I'm working on getting dentures. As a lot of you know, I've been in recovery of methamphetamine for about 5 years now, and spent the last 4 years getting tooth by tooth out. As you can see, I have no top teeth, and the bottom molars have already been taken out, and I've only got a few left in the front. One thing I will really, really, really love to do as soon as I get my dentures is treat my family to Taco Bell and buy my first plate of nachos and cheese in for about half of a year now. Um, of course, there's a lot of self-care involved when you're recovering from any type of a drug. Um, Always learning self-care, um, keeping your hygiene up, taking it day by day, just basically going through the process of limiting some of the old habits and such as diet and getting proper sleep and getting good health and exercise, plenty of rest, restoration, and extra vitamins, also therapy, whether it's with somebody else or if it's just journaling, which I'd really like to start doing myself. Um, I'm also going to be switching it up in therapy, where I've been with the same therapist for about a year or more now. And I'm going to be changing classes from CPTSD, or sorry, DBT skill classes to trauma classes, um, which I do a lot of research on CPTSD by listening to Richard Grannon and some of the big ones, for how CPTSD is created, and listening to a lot of lessons on anger right now, where anger stems from, our anger stems from, and why we have deeper levels of anger that a lot of times in dysfunctional families that we grew up in are not allowed to show a lot of emotions, especially if there is a narcissist involved, that was one of your caregivers, where being angry, we were not able to show our anger, and a lot of that was pent up from childhood, and still now it can erupt like a volcano, especially in cases of more of us codependents, where we learn to people please. We say yes to everything at the drop of a hat. When someone can ask us to do help them do something, and we basically can throw ourselves out of the picture and jump into whatever it is everybody wants of us, and it makes us feel good to help, although we neglect ourselves, and it can really get out of whack too, and therefore we can really be erupt in anger by maybe doing too many things for others, like our partner, and feeling like it's not fair when we don't get enough time for ourselves to maybe have that time to recover or to mend from maybe a lifetime of using things to help us cope and get through that every day, when we are all of a sudden trying to practice states of recovery like mindfulness or meditation, where we might even try to meditate and lay back in silence for a while, and all these feelings come up, on these uncomfortable feelings, because we're not used to looking inward. We're always used to looking outward for being good enough for everybody else, or pleasing enough for everybody else, always being the nice girl, nice guy. Um, and until it really takes a toll on us, where we feel justified in our anger or feelings that it is not fair that we've always had to do this, or we continue to do this, and justify our blame on everybody or everything else, and can even get to states of feeling sorry for ourselves and mope in pity, as I know sometimes I can find myself doing, especially in cases when I'm down and sick again with another bad tooth or whatever ailment, or where we can isolate again away from people because we are not getting what we want from outer sources, and we are expected to, everyone to be nice to us, um, when we ourselves maybe haven't learned to be nice to ourselves, or to learn what is really important in recovery, which are states of self-love, maybe that we never got the nurturing, maybe got ignored as children, or were often expected of things, but the concern for our caretakers might have never really been there. Um, Again, I still fall back into the narcissistic abuse, and have to be careful when I watch a lot of the videos and stuff, not get too carried away with being angry all over again and taking it out on myself when that pain does come up. Um, that is just so important, for us to take that time with ourselves, learn to regroup, and self love and self care for ourselves as much as we can. Instead of learning boundaries is again really important. And the more we learn, the more we stop being knocked around and kicked around, when we have all our lives been the scapegoats, been emotional punching bags, or physical punching bags, even mental punching bags, all our lives, and have been told that we are never as good enough as the other person, that has never learned to self-love. So we end up in these states of self-loathing, self-hate, and can really lash out at not only everybody else, but for ourselves mostly, which can put us back into isolating more, thinking that nobody cares, nobody really gives a crap, nobody's ever really been there for us or helped to support us. That's why it's important to have the support today from others, like counselors, therapists, people that know, and aren't going to shame, blame, and punish you um, for having an addiction or struggling with falling back into those addictions or ways of coping that just keep us stuck in these spiraling of states until we're just truly unhappy, not satisfied in all kinds of different parts of our lives, like relationships, friendships, um, forgiving the past, letting the past go, and really embracing what's in store for us. I know the struggle can get really real. Um, I think that's one really important element in recovery. At first, is accepting that maybe we didn't have all the nurturing care that we needed as we were growing up, and grieving that part, whether we're just learning about the different dysfunctions that our parents left us with. Um, Maybe there was an illness in that family, and you had to be the caregiver of not only yourself but for your siblings. And if one of them was a narcissist, um, it can be really hardcore stuckness that life truly isn't a great place to be. Levels of helplessness can be so low that we feel like we cannot go on, and that when we spiral down into these depressions, or we fall back into the hole of yet again another toxic relationship, um, where that person just isn't there, isn't available emotionally or even physically for us, and not to be the savior of it all again, where we're going after trying to save other people, to really focus and be concerned for ourselves. I think for me, what played in my head a lot yesterday during a part of the day, especially after meditating, how we can come into these lives with this really profound feeling of needing to learn that self-love very badly, um, and learning the self-love and the self-care um, is the reason maybe why one of the things that we have to learn in this life, and not to give up and keep going, can be really, really hard, a struggle, especially if maybe we were cast out of our family for addictions, maybe if we were cast out of that family for us starting to keep boundaries, learning to say no to certain people, maybe losing friends, and you were in the process of maybe gaining new friends. It's not an overnight thing. It can take, anywhere from 3 to 5 years, even longer. I think even a whole lifetime to learn better ways to cope, healthier ways to cope, and to treat ourselves. Being kind, using DBT skills, staying mindful, forgiveness, keeping on forgiving ourselves, and stop blaming other people when we do have to um, take ourselves on, and start learning some of the things that we need to learn, such as boundaries. I'm big on boundaries right now, because um, family members and things can be especially bad with what can you do for them. Um, but when it comes to yourself, to be able to begin to put your foot down and assert yourself not in anger and those volcanic eruptive states, where we can stop and center and tell them, maybe instead of pointing a finger at them, accusing them that it's your fault for angering you, maybe basically just tell them that you are feeling how you are feeling, like, with the way that they're reacting toward you. Be like, I know that you feel that way and that you're yelling at me right now, but but I'm feeling hurt right now because um, you are, whatever they're doing to you that is hurting you, and basically just describe how you're feeling, and if is a way that you both can handle it together and solve the situation. Again, that's where boundaries can come in, because anger is a tough one for a lot of people, emotions, dealing and coping and balancing emotional states, when maybe we have never learned that in these dysfunctional families, how our feelings can go out of whack. Um, and maybe if these people still are crossing those boundaries and and continue to hurt you during this conversation instead of trying to solve the problem with you, is there a way that you can come to a solution together, or do you need to take further boundaries with these people by maybe excusing yourself, coming back later when you are both calm, where relationships go, before things can really get out of whack, and maybe you're just both physically going at it together or throwing things, where other people and yourself can get even more hurt. Um, where relationships can really take a twisted turn to um, all of a sudden, a breakup occurs or something, but to stop it before it escalates like that. And again, you also have to watch for signs of how narcissistic is that person to begin with. Are they going to want to resolution something with you, or do they just want to provoke you more to cause you to be angry, so then they can gaslight and tell you that it's all your fault and you're just crazy, or you're not stable? Oftentimes, when these people could be projecting their stuff onto you and making you look like you're the bad guy and they're above you to make themselves feel better. Are these certain people that you really need to be, um, you know, are they healthy relationships for you? Um, all these things are so important, and I guess I'm in 18 minutes of it so far. So maybe just putting some little pointers to you on anger and relationships today, and it's just so important. I know for me as well to be learning these things, and to create more lives that are more fulfilling, that are more true to us, and what's more true to our inner selves and to relationships that we might want to build and grow. So thank you for listening today, and I hope you have a peaceful one.